world. This is Kimberly and Conor Tracy over here at Big Red SEO.
Hey
coming to you for our Friday
hey
Facebook Live. It's kind of interesting. It's an interesting day because we've been back-to-back in meetings and adventures, and we switched places, which Conor is normally a creature of habit, so we're gonna roll with it and see how this goes right now with me being on his left side versus his right side. But hey, we've got several different updates coming up for you. Just a couple quick things. We had multiple people reach out to us via email as well as Facebook posts and phone calls, believe it or not, just thanking us for doing these videos. So we really want to tell you guys thank you for watching and engaging and getting the information. We've had a lot of people that have experienced great growth as well as being able to apply certain techniques and strategies. So I'm super excited about that. I mean, I think I got 3 phone calls this week as well as multiple emails. So totally not expected. We're actually just doing this to be able to help business owners in general, as well as we have so much knowledge in our heads and we're trying to get it out and get it to be used, if that makes sense.
I was talking to somebody earlier, yesterday I think it was, and I had mentioned, they were saying, that the videos were great and it was great to catch up and so forth.
Yeah.
And the videos for us are more of an internal record keeping end of things as much as it is for the conversations that we have there with you guys. But it allows us to figure out, what is it that we're doing? What have we done well this week? What have we not? What do we need to focus on?
Yeah, because I think sometimes what happens, and you guys might experience this as well, just in running your business, is you'll get into the running the business and you'll be working on the business and you might forget all the awesome things that actually happened throughout the process of your day or your week or so forth. And then for us, it's like putting on new glasses where we know that we're going to be coming here on Fridays for Facebook Live, so we pay attention a little bit more detail of, hey, if we ran into this situation, how can we replicate it or share it with our fans and our followers as well as other business owners to maybe remove it. Like we just got done with an awesome prospect meeting. Actually, they're a client now, yay, hoo-hoo. But the whole point is that one of the questions that they asked was, how come all businesses don't know about SEO? And it was very interesting in how we structured and shared that message. We wish everybody knew about SEO. Unfortunately, sometimes what happens is as businesses, you go towards whatever the marketing is that everybody's talking about. So that happens to be social media, radio, TV, advertising, but people don't realize they use SEO every day when you're on your phone and you're typing in specific keyword terms and so forth, or getting directions.
Definitely.
Or looking up images. Like we have so many businesses that look for free images on Google, right? That is actually a SEO process on those images.
Yeah, I mean, it completely depends on the industry. We work with different companies, the air conditioning companies, for example, they generally end up with some sort of copay from the manufacturer. So the makers of the different machines will also do some sort of a copay for advertising or for marketing, but they also get a say in what it is that the people actually use the money on. And generally they'll just say online marketing, and that's such a broad statement. Online marketing can be anything from social to website design and all the way through to using pay-per-click and all of that kind of stuff. So it's always a challenge.
Challenge could be fun. Sorry, I was messing with my phone trying to get it cross-shared for people. But okay, so we're going to dive in today. We're going to dive in. Conor has a couple different updates regarding search engines and so forth. And then I have some interesting conversations that we've had this week that I want to share some information with. I also threw a image up on my personal page today just asking people what was their current challenge with marketing, or maybe where are they stuck in marketing. So I actually had somebody come across with a very popular question that we get. So I'll share some feedback with that as well. But could you just dive into what's going on in the search engine world?
Sure. You don't want to talk, how was your week? No?
How was your week?
No,
he didn't have a wife all
me.
weekend.
I was asking how your week was.
Oh, my week was so good. Yeah. Like, I think every day that I work, I have such amazing days because no day is ever the same. But then also, I get to do what I want and what I love, and I get to work with people that are awesome. And I don't know how else to unicorn and daisy that and rainbow and sprinkles that besides what it is. Yep. I mean, I feel like I'm a very lucky person and I have awesome lucky people around me, but I think everybody's lucky. Even if they don't know me yet, they're still lucky. Anyway, that's how my week has gone.
Well, it was a short week. That's what I know. Today is Friday, and it feels like today is Wednesday. Yeah.
It's okay. Last Thursday, I thought it was Friday.
Yeah?
So I had to work an extra day. Yeah. Okay.
But did you?
But did I? I don't know. Okay. What's going on?
All right, guys. So lots of stuff happening online. So it's the beginning of the month. So
Yeah.
everything is happening.
Change your passwords. Beginning of the month.
Change your passwords on your websites, on your social media profiles, and everything else. Make sure you update your passwords.
I would also say make sure, like, just for shits and giggles, peoples. Just for shits and giggles. Just happen to go look up your domain name and your web hosting and find out when your expiration date is. And also, if you use Google email, find out when the expiration date is for that subscription to be renewed. We've had 7 businesses in the last week reach out to us asking us this question. We don't manage those, but it's something that's coming around, and so check it. Check it.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about this time of year, but
I think it's back to school, back to basics. There's got to be some kind of marketing trend. But anyway, that was a side note.
yeah. So website renewal dates, domain renewal dates, your email, whether you're using G Suites or
whoever
any of those
handles
other things.
it, whoever, like, I see a lot of businesses fractured and scattered in all these different services. See if you can consolidate them. One tip that we have for clients is we use Google Docs a lot. So put them into a Google Docs Excel file. You could do extra security if you want, so forth.
Yeah, that way then when you lose your Google Docs password and access, you can lose everything all at the same time. It'll be great.
You can get it back.
You can't wait.
You can get it back. You can get it. Google's pretty good about forgot passwords. You might have to give them your actual DNA and blood, but
Yeah,
you know.
you're gonna have to give them stuff.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Google, so
Yeah.
we're gonna run through a handful of things that have
He's got
happened
notes,
here.
guys.
I
He's
do.
got
I've
notes.
got a whole.
So excited. And I have coffee.
I got. Can you tell?
I won't make
Seriously.
the same face I made the other day.
Yeah.
I'm not going to interrupt you again. Go ahead.
Okay.
I like to interrupt.
Yeah, too much. So a couple of big things. One of the things that came out today, actually it started on the 4th. So the beginning of the month, on the 4th, Google released a new version of Google Chrome.
Okay.
And awesome web browser, nice and light and blah, blah, blah. So version 6.9 was released. And one of the things that they did in their infinite wisdom.
Oh, I love you use the word infinite. Yay! Kisma, if you're watching this, there you go.
Basically, what they ended up doing is they removed the www inside of the URLs.
Oh, yeah.
So when you type in www.bigredseo.com, well, now Google automatically removes the W's and it just says bigredseo.com
Yeah.
at the top of the page.
Yeah.
And it has a padlock, meaning secure. So it no longer has the green thing saying secure.
Aw,
It only
I
has
really like
just the
that little
padlock.
green little padlock.
Yep.
A little
And,
color up in the URL bar. We actually have it up in our URL net, our
blah,
net,
blah,
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 blah.
yeah.
You guys do too. If you look up at the top, it says secure. Anyway.
Only if you haven't updated Chrome to version 6.9.
Hey, Kaci.
A break in the action. Anyway, so that's now gone. The lock is still there. Google is slowly moving away from making everything say secure or not secure, and now it'll just, at the moment, have the padlock. Everybody else will get not secure, and then the eventual goal is remove that padlock altogether, and then
Yeah.
there'll be nothing there.
Yeah.
But all of this comes around because of a thing that Google has been trying to do from last year, I believe it was. Basically, what they were trying to figure out was getting rid of the URL, the actual string
The
at the
whole
very
thing.
top. So,
Which would drive you crazy because you use that thing all the time.
yeah, what their idea is that when a person is on the website, it doesn't need to say facebook.com/bigredseo. It should just say
okay.
Facebook. And
Yep.
then that instills a security in your mind that, oh, I'm on Facebook. Yay.
Okay.
So that was their thing, and that was their goal, but it's kind of falling apart. So anyway,
Yeah,
you
good.
okay?
Yeah, Kaci said that she needs to update her Chrome.
Yeah.
So she has the lock. Still.
I think everybody needs to update Chrome, or it's going to happen
I'm
automatically.
really giddy, guys, because I'm on this side of
next
him
week.
today. We move
Yes.
things around.
Beyond.
Oh, I just pet him.
Be gone, woman.
Be gone. Shh. That's usually what he does. Shh.
Yeah. So
Sometimes.
anyway, so a handful of changes on the Google Chrome, on the, I don't even know my freaking password here. I'm trying to type in.
I
the
can't
wrong
tell
one.
you, but it's something near
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Let me change
Thank God
that
I didn't say that out loud. Hey, it's the first of the month. Change the password on everything.
I already have. That's why I didn't know how to get back in.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, so Chrome, the URL structure at the top has been changed. Pay attention to that. Have a look on there. Make sure you do your
Yeah.
updates. One of the other updates that have happened with that version is that you go to google.com all the time when you're doing a search.
I do, and there was a
Drives
lot
me
of people.
crazy.
No. There was a lot of people last week on the video. Like if you type, again, my keyboard's up here. If you type google.com and then you get the Google bar and then you type in what you're looking for. If you do that, put a Y in the comments because I want to show Connor how many people actually do that. So again, you're typing in google.com into the URL. My keyboards are up here because they're so fun. Like they're little reindeer. Wait, there's a reindeer.
Yeah.
Okay, so google.com and then the search bar comes up and then you type in what you're looking for. Like neon tennis shoes. It's like I'm doing energy healing over here with my wavy hands. So if you do that, put a Y because I want to show Connor how many people actually do that in performing the search. But you actually said like last time they're taking that away where
Yes. No.
he normally types up I'm gonna like make myself laugh. I do this all the time, guys. You're getting a behind the scenes action.
Any
And
minute
anyway-
now, you will hear the "I've gotta pee."
Shush! Like, stop! Okay, so anyway, so in the Google bar, Connor, instead of going to google.com and types in, he just types in what he's looking for. So
Yes.
if it's a nice steak in Omaha, then he types it up in the top, and then the searches come. So it's like the whole Anyway, let's do our laugh. Okay.
Okay.
Put a Y if you do it, or yes, or whatever.
Anyways, so in the URL at the top, which is where you would type in domain names and
Hence the
stuff
top,
like that.
the URL.
Essentially what Google is now going to do, and is doing it now with the new version of Chrome, you can type in your searches up there and it'll give the drop down of other things. So if you're searching for the best coffee shop in Omaha and you go to google.com and you do it, it would normally have like 3 or 4 items in a drop down. You could select one of those and kind of go from there. Well, the Chrome browser URL bar at the top now does that, so it's becoming even faster. They've also released an update for your Android phones that it makes your queries and repeated searches even faster.
Oh, so that's a good reason to do searches in incognito if you don't want an extra query search. You don't want it to keep your history.
It'll still keep your history.
Even in incognito?
Yes.
Oh my, incognito is no longer incognito, guys. That's a big deal. Anyway, just saying. Are you serious? Like if I'm in incognito and I'm searching for something and I want to shop for something, it's still going to show up in my behavioral of marketing because it's no longer incognito.
Have you learned nothing from the Google
Oh my
Analytics
gosh!
I do?
Oh my gosh! My mind is blown. I can no longer be behind the scenes.
It'll not show in your search history in your browser, but it will show to all those other websites.
Oh,
You're
goodness.
not safe.
So goodness. Okay, anyway.
Don't go surfing dark web. Anyways.
I don't surf dark web. I just, guys, you probably do this where you go shop for something and then you find a really good deal and you purchase it, and then like 3 weeks, 6 months, they keep showing you the same thing you already bought. Anyway.
Okay, 2 other things that's going on. One of the big items, SSL certificates, which we've always talked about. What is the dark web?
What is the dark web? Oh, Bruce is here. Hi, Bruce.
I've got information for you on the dark web.
Oh, goodness.
Let's see.
We might need a website for that question.
Yeah, we'll take that one offline. The SSL.
You can go visit him.
All right, stop.
Sorry, guys. He's trying. See, what's happening is he said this video needs to be less than 20 minutes, and now
that's what I'm aiming at.
13:50.
We're like rolling up
Anyway.
there. So SSL certificates, one of the big things that have been going on for the past year, Google has distrusted Semantic. Now, Semantic is one of the big SSL providers. They've worked with Thwart and DigiCert.
Is it the same antivirus company or no?
Are they the same as Norton?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, same boat. But anyways, what has happened over the past year is that they've issued SSL certificates to places that should never have had SSL certificates.
Oh, yep.
So
Breaking the
Google
rules.
has decided that they are going to distrust the SSL certificates that have been issued by Semantic. That's a huge thing because there's almost 8% of the entire web uses those SSL certificates.
Oh, wow. I think I might have sold those back in college, by the way, if it was for that company, just to let you know.
But basically, Google has gone through, they're revoking the CA certificate or the root certificate certified authority. SSLs are a moneymaker, I agree. A pain in the butt, that's for sure.
He said are just a moneymaker for the sellers.
Right,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
So anyway, the SSLs are being revoked. You now have to get new ones, use a different place other
For
than
that
Semantic.
specific company. Just
For
yeah.
Semantic in particular.
SSLs are still very important.
Yes, SSLs are required at this point.
Yes.
But I'll have a whole separate video on YouTube. Go to youtube.com/BigRedSEO and all the information will be over there. But if you have had an SSL issued by Semantic in the past 2 years, you will need to get a new SSL certificate.
Yeah. And if you have questions, just feel free to reach out. We'll get
Yep.
you headed the right direction.
Let's see. The answer is in the Omnibox. That's what it's called. So it took care of that. That's the URL at the very top. You can type in whatever you want. Google and Kim's typing. And the Omnibox is done. Duplicator.
I think that's where I do most of my searching. I mean, my body's down here, but my head's like up here. Anyway.
Your head's off that way.
I'm just patiently waiting for my things.
2 security updates.
Yes.
Notices. One is in FireFox. Yes, FireFox. They've had a couple of exploits that they've now documented and released. So if you're using Firefox as your browser, make sure you update. There are 9 security flaws that they have fixed. So definitely go update
That's a
that. The other item, if you're using WordPress and you use the plugin Duplicator,
Ooh, that's a big one.
that version 1.4.20, 1.2.40, anything older than that version is exploitable. You want to remove it from your website, upgrade to the next version, and then go back through all your backups and remove that file.
Yeah. And clean it up.
Basically, you can get full
That's how
access
you
into the
spent
website.
your yesterday afternoon. We reached
Yep.
out to clients that actually have that plugin to be able to get them cleaned up. But make sure
Yeah.
you don't just go through and update. You need to clean up the old backup files, so that way, in case somebody got in there and got a little naughty, it's not like a ticking time bomb in your website design. Because that's usually what happens is whenever a website's compromised, a lot of times what happens is those that are compromising, which I'm not going to say the word, but it starts with the A, H, and it ends in an R. What they do is they'll go in, they'll compromise the site, but then they'll hide things, and then they'll wait a certain time frame, and then they come back, and then they exploit the site, and then take over or send spam and stuff like that. So a lot of times business owners are like, oh my gosh, why all of a sudden is my website compromised? And we look at it, and it's usually always a certain time frame that they actually wait to take action. So just go back and clean the files if you have this specific plugin. And just as a side pitch here, you guys know internally we do a lot of WordPress, so we always recommend that you have your plugins updated pretty consistent anyway. It just stops the opportunity for your website to get compromised. So again, either update the plugins yourself. If your website's not super customized, you typically don't have a problem with it. But if it is customized, we can help you with that, or we can send you into the right direction.
And as always, make a backup always before you
And make
do
a backup
anything.
before you do the plugins, and then make a backup. In ideal best practices, we recommend making a backup after every plugin has been updated, so that way if something does break or go wrong, then you don't have to go way back to the other plugin.
After the major updates.
Yeah,
But if you're just doing 1 or 2 and they're minor subversions, generally you wouldn't need to worry too much about it.
I think sometimes for me it's better to be safe than sorry,
Sure.
because we got to remember it's not technical people that are on the other end, instead it's non-technical. So just play it safe, make a backup, and then try not to keep like a lot of backups on file. Like that's the other thing. We transferred a website at the end of last week, and they had like so many backups for like 12 years. Go ahead and clean those out, or set a little event in your calendar for you to be able to clean out whatever you have on file, so you're not paying extra. Hey Carolina, how are you? You're not paying extra on those fees.
Yeah, I think the move file was 1.3 gigs.
It was a lot.
And the actual
I just hear him
website-
grumbling in the back. Why this website's so big?
The website was only 50 megs, but because of all the backups that were in there, it was just a backup of a backup of a backup. So it slowed my process down and then ended up costing the customer more.
Yeah.
So anyway, another item that has come out with the new version of Chrome is that Chrome will now store your passwords for you. So check that out. It's a new thing that they're doing.
I don't know if I like that.
Well, here's the advantage with it. It will now stop you from using the same password on every website. So a lot of people, they'll make a password and they'll use it on 4 or 5 different websites. Or more, as the case may be.
Usually they use one on everything, including their banking account
and the PIN number and everything else. So check that out.
And then whenever you're in the middle of something, you can't remember that one anyway.
Yep.
So
last item for me on my, or 2 items on my list.
Did you see that?
know,
He increased
I know.
to 2 more.
Gutenberg, which is part of the new WordPress that's coming out, that's been now downloaded over 200,000 times. A lot of people loving it. Do check it out if you have a chance. Do not check it out on your live website. Check it out on a development site. Don't do it on the live.
I wouldn't recommend checking it out at all.
So the
Not
thing
for
is
now
that
until it's been tested.
yeah,
but
the thing is that it's change, and we've had the same system. The WordPress system, the way it's operated, has been the same way for almost 10 years. So we're going to confuse and get angry.
We're
going to
test it. So if you want to know about how we've tested it, just
and I have
let us
tested it
know.
on some of them.
Yeah, it actually is really cool. I mean, it's cool. Like whenever it's actually running and operating, I just think that it's going to be a total left field for a lot of people. So wait until you got a weekend or so or whatnot.
And the final item that goes out to any of the graphic designers or anybody using Adobe products, if you're using the Adobe Cloud products. And we use Photoshop and Premiere, and we do the video editing all on that kind of stuff. But basically, they have announced that in all future releases of Premiere in particular, it will only work on the latest version of WordPress, or on the latest version of Windows and on Mac.
Oh,
so if you are using older versions of the operating systems, it will not work. They're planning to roll that out across the entire platform. So if you're using an older version of a Mac, you'll probably want to look at upgrading. And the downside is that when you make those big upgrades in Mac in particular, if your computer's not up to spec, it's actually going to run slower, and now Adobe's going to run slower, and now your process will take longer. So plan ahead, people. Make those updates.
He called you guys people.
I did.
That's funny. Okay,
That's
so
it.
a couple things. I threw a question up on my Facebook page.
That one's good. See, I'll bust in on Kim.
Go ahead.
If you are a Google My Business user, which businesses, of course you are.
We should have just called this the Conor Show.
I know, we should have. But, so, do you remember last year, the whole women-led movement thing and all that? And you could now get a tag on side your Google My Business profile and say that you are a woman, a woman-owned or a woman-led business. Well, there's a new tag now introduced for veterans. So
cool.
if you are a veteran-owned business or a veteran-led business, you can now use that tag in your your Google My Business. And that's it. I'm done.
And there's a lot of people that do business with other people that are within that realm too.
Definitely.
So that's kind of cool. Okay, so earlier today, I actually put on my Facebook a question of where do you? I'm like, it's just done. I don't know. Where do you feel like you're stuck in marketing? And the one thing that we had, which ironically it comes a lot, is how do you go about creating or activating an effective newsletter, right? So newsletters in our world, we don't really manage or help businesses with it. We give some general guidance, but here is what I will tell you is, one, what is your definition of effective, right? So is effective mean it's your open and close ratio? Is it people converting for sales? Is it them picking up the phone and asking you specific questions? So the first area that I would start is determine what is your version of effective, right? And then the second thing is, really take some time to reflect and figure out what are you doing a newsletter for. So I see a lot of businesses, they'll go to a marketing boot camp or some kind of marketing thing, or they read something that says, oh, you need to do a newsletter. Like, do a newsletter, get out in front of people. Well, here's the deal. Newsletters can be effective, but if you don't have an overall intention or objective or goal for that newsletter, you're probably going to piss people off more and annoy them than actually provide them value, right? Like, not all businesses are built for newsletters. I ironically had a conversation with a small business that launched recently, and their question was about newsletters, and they just get really pissed off with newsletters when they get them, right? They're always tons of images and bright colors and really distractive, and they're just kind of like down to earth, simple type of people, right? So what they opted to do was just send an email to their fans and followers versus a newsletter, right?
Yep.
And believe it or not, they actually got really good return ratio off of that, because it comes back to what is the intention, what is the objective. If you decide to go ahead and do a newsletter, which I don't remember if it was last week's video or the video before, there's 4 different areas that you can focus on. You can educate your clients, you can provide them sales, promotions, or information about services, right? You can deliver them maybe a story or testimonials to let them know how your service has impacted somebody else. Again, focus less on the sales and focus more on the storytelling, so they can actually identify with you in the business and almost be in the seat of the customer, right, in the story. And then the 4th one is share your journey about your business, right? So like there's a fine line between personal and business. You can blend them. Just remember that you want to step forward and be the best version of yourself. So you may not say, hey, I slept in for 12 hours on a Saturday and vegged out on Netflix and ate a whole large pizza on my own, unless that's kind of your jam and that's what you do, and people know that that's what you're going to be doing on the weekend, right?
Yep.
But at the end of the day, what our general rule is when you send a newsletter is it has to offer value, it has to educate, teach, or you have to deliver something to make somebody want to do something, either A, B, and C. So a newsletter that we sent out recently was about the SSL certificates. It was a big push, it was a huge announcement, people needed to make a decision one way or the other. Inside that newsletter, we gave them the information. We told them to reach out to their existing web hosting company, or if they needed a web hosting company, they could reach out to us. And then what happens is they converted and they asked questions about us, about the process, or they became a client, right? So like it was one or the other. Or honestly, they asked to be unsubscribed, and that's cool too. We wish them the best of luck, right?
Yep.
But at the end of the day, 1, determine what is your version of effective, right? And then 2, try, if you really want to build, so here's the deal, if you really want to build your tribe in your newsletter, offer them something different than you offer anybody on social media, anybody in person, anybody, like I don't see a lot of people do that. I see a lot of businesses, they put the same thing on social media as they would in person, as they would in here, and they would in here. The key hint is try to make them feel special, like they get something that nobody else gets access to. And your newsletter people could be who you test your market on, right? Like say you're getting ready to send out a promotion, maybe you send it out to your newsletter people first, and then within 30 days you send it out to your Facebook tribe, and then your others, and then your others, and then your others. Does that make sense?
It does.
The general rule that we say is 80-20 rule. So whatever you create content-wise, make sure it's offering value 80%, and then maybe 20% is you actually selling your services, products. Always give somebody the what is the next step that they need to take? Like I see it in content all the time where they'll create content all the way, so this is how I create content. They'll create content all the way down their sales page or whatever, but then there's no call to action. The content just drops off, and it's like, wait, like from a reader's perspective, they want to know, do I call you? Do I book an appointment? Do I set, like what's the next step? What's the next process? The same thing happens in a newsletter, right? The other thing that I would try to avoid in a newsletter is don't try and give too much information. Don't throw up on your end users. Take a step back and realize, how often do you want to send a newsletter? Actually, I would back up even further. What is the intent? What is the
what's
intent?
the purpose of it? Yeah.
What is the intent of the newsletter? Figure that out. What's the goal? What's the intention? What are you trying to get out of? And then kind of break it out and figure out, what does the frequency need to be to get in front of people? Does it need to be monthly? Does it need to be twice a month? Does it need to be weekly? Does it need to be daily? I mean, depending on the industry, daily might be important. But I would like to figure out what the frequency is and then stay consistent with it, right? So like keep the consistency going off and on. And then don't be afraid to ask your existing clients or prospects, hey, I'm looking to make a newsletter. I want it to be really effective. What would be appealing to you? What would make you want to click and convert? And a lot of times people are willing to be helpful and give you feedback.
Yeah, another thing within all of that, when you do send out your newsletter on whatever information it is you're sending out, make sure it's content worthy enough that will encourage them to open the next newsletter you send.
Yep.
Because if you send out a newsletter for the sake of sending it out, the chances are that the next newsletter you do send out that you've got all this great content in, they'll never read it because your last one was crap.
Right. And I think also another area to start is determine what newsletters you like to open up and read. And what is it about those newsletters, right? So like I get multiple newsletters, and I get more personal emails. They're not personal to me. They're sent out to a mass amount of people, but they send emails versus newsletters, and I open them. And the reason why I open them is because I know that there's going to be value and information and teachings inside of it that I can apply that would offer me some form of value of somewhere. It might be something I already know, but I open it because I'm like, oh yes, like I can identify with that. I can use that. That would offer value for me, A, B, and C, right?
Yeah.
But if somebody's just selling a pitch or something, and I know that they always are just pitching, like somebody, like I get added on real estate agents newsletters all the time, and it's so funny because all of them must go through the same marketing company because I get the same version of the article like 7 times, and I'm like, delete, 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 right? No offense, real estate people, but I probably will never own a home unless it's an RV and a trailer, and that's about it. So, but anyway, the point is like figure out what your version of effective is, and then determine what is it that you're going to offer, what's the goal and the objective. Then decide what the time frame is, how frequent you're going to send newsletters, and then build the newsletters, right?
Yeah. I think the frequency has a lot to do with it. So you deal with newsletters on a regular basis. For me, most of the stuff I get are what you would call a daily digest.
Yeah.
So I'll get like a roll-up of all these different things that have happened. So there's a security blog that I belong to, and they'll have a roll-up of different things over there. And then once a week, they send a newsletter with their featured item and a story of how it impacted them or whatnot.
Yeah,
so I still get my roll-up. I still have my Feedly feed with all my RSS information, and then all my security, and then...
I think at the end of the day, it's all about building a community. So no matter what marketing that you're doing, whether it's newsletter or social media or anything else like that, it's about building a community, and you're not just gonna freaking sell your community all the time. Instead, you're going to be like, hey, here's resources that I can provide for you. Here's how I can help build your business. This is how I can better your life. These are the areas that I can assist you, A, B, and C. And maybe it's not a service or a product that they have to buy from you, but they can apply into their life today that would give them some space to feel like they're getting somewhere, and then they would remember you, right? Like that's the whole... Oh my gosh, I could get pretty passionate about this. I was like, I don't know anything about newsletters, and I'm like, oh, I know a lot about newsletters.
So taking the newsletter stuff to the next level, so rather than just the information about what to put inside of a newsletter or how to structure it, is there a tip or a trick in how to acquire those subscribers?
So here's my deal is one of my pet peeves is whenever I go to a networking event, somebody asks me for a business card and I get added to a newsletter. So guess what I do not do? I do not do that. Instead, I build it into the sales process, right? So I have a prospect reach out, I have a conversation back and forth, we decide, do you want to move forward? Do they not want to move forward? Hey, by the way, would you like to be added to our newsletter? Or I give them an option to subscribe to the newsletter in an email, right? I make it part of the sales process. Okay. The other option is a lot of people will put it out on social media, so don't be afraid to share your newsletter link inside your, whatever your social media platform is. This one's Facebook. And just say, hey, go ahead and subscribe for our newsletter, et cetera, et cetera. Add it to your website, of course, like that makes sense, right? Because you might find somebody there. But I just make it part of the sales process. Or I just randomly ask people, hey, we have a newsletter coming out. Do you want access to Conor's great wisdom? And usually they're like, yes, I love Conor. Like, he's an awesome guy. Like, is he going to talk about whiskey and cigars? And I'm like, oh, yes, that's a separate little newsletter. It's like Conor's separate private newsletter. But yeah, so I don't know. Like, I personally believe, like, just build it as part of your process. And if you're doing it right, it's not going to feel sticky or icky.
So, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, and I think you have a higher chance of people wanting to actually be engaged in it instead of just unsubscribing as soon as you add them.
So you treat the acquisition of newsletter subscribers the same way you would in asking somebody for a review of your business.
So here's my deal, and a lot of people may not feel this way. I think it's a true honor to actually be in somebody's inbox, right? So that's an energy exchange for me. So yes, I would like if somebody's willing to sign up for the newsletter, I'm going to make sure I take care of their email address and make sure that I take care of them newsletter-wise. Same thing with the review. So reviews typically should be part of your sales process already of asking people, hey, you've really enjoyed this service. leave us a review so we can help communities or help those in our community more, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's all part of a sales process, but people try to do them as separate little scattered parts. And again, just to recap on this newsletter part, newsletters may not be for every business. You need to decide what is the right process. I know several businesses out there that are majority word of mouth, and they probably don't want any more business. Like they've actually stated, we don't want any more business, we can't handle it. So at that point, a newsletter may not be ideal for them, or they could actually use the newsletter to cultivate their existing tribe and community and clientele that they have, and just kind of make that, stronger, I guess. Does that answer your question? I don't know. Cool.
I think it answers my question. Does it answer everybody else's?
Yeah.
So,
what do you feel about integrating?
Read it out loud so everybody knows what's going on.
Kaci said, what do you feel about integrating PayPal with MailChimp? Currently, when somebody makes a purchase with me, they will get an email asking if they would like to subscribe to my email list. It isn't an automatic thing, though. They still have the option. Yeah, I think that that's absolutely fine. So, I don't know if this is an option for you or not, but if you have the ability to create a custom sentence or a custom paragraph to all your people, not just like the default whatever MailChimp PayPal is, see if you can customize a message to them, and or see if whenever they place an order, if they don't check the checkbox, send them a personalized message of, hey, so great to connect with you. Just let you know, I offer resources A, B, and C. If you would like to enroll in my newsletter, here's the link, da-da-da-da, et cetera, et cetera.
And on top of that, so I would definitely put it in through the website. If you are shipping a physical product to a person and you're doing your own shipping of it, put a little flyer, put an index card or something like that in there, asking them to subscribe to the newsletter if they didn't check the box.
Yeah.
And if they
did,
as
well as review the product, right? So like that, since you're shipping something specifically, definitely make sure you ask them for the review. So for you specifically, I would ask them for the review, but I would also maybe ask them to take a picture of their products or their product that they bought from you, email it to you along with the review. That's another. Even better. Because there's a company for our bulldogs, they get really dry skin, and there's a product that we use, and what they did was the company actually takes images from those customers and uses it part of their marketing, which is kind of genius and cool, right? So that might be also something, Kaci, that you can use and adapt. But I think it's absolutely okay to have systems do automatic stuff. Check and see how many of the people are actually signing up for the newsletter or not. One thing that I know you do is sometimes you make the checkbox automatically checked versus leaving the checkbox where they have to check it, right? So like that might be something else to test and play with, because some people might just skim right over it and not realize that they're not subscribing to your newsletter because they have to actually physically put the checkbox. Versus if the checkbox is already there, they might just scroll and then automatically be put into it.
Yeah, there's a phrase of it's easier to ask for permission, or it's easier to ask for forgiveness.
I was like, I hope you would continue to say that. It's easier to ask for permission than forgiveness. I'm like, yes, Conor,
no,
it
it's
is.
Not.
No!
It's easier to ask for forgiveness than it is for permission. So using that methodology and sort of inside of the sales, you would have that box automatically checked, and then the user would unsubscribe themselves. But the advantage of going the other way, making sure that they have the option to check the box, now you know that's a qualified person that actually wants to hear from you. So it depends on the mindset. It depends on what information it is you're sending. If you're just doing sales releases, kind of like what Amazon does, that's checked by default. But if you're working with a particular store, like the place that I bought my camera, they wanted me to actually physically sign up. And now I'm a qualified person that wants to hear.
And here's the deal, and I know that all of us are in a world where we're super busy, right? We have 50 million things going on, and we're trying to build our business and do all these things. Don't discount the art of building a relationship. So since somebody orders something from you, or they purchase, or they sign up for a newsletter, don't be afraid to create a small little intimate personalized email to them, right? Believe it or not, people are craving connection more now than ever before, and the businesses that are like really thriving and in their mission and purpose and calling, they're realizing the value of connecting with who's doing business with them or who wants to do business with
Yep.
them. So just don't be afraid to just be like, you don't have to be a super wordsmith person. You can just introduce yourself and be like, hey, so excited that you signed up for my newsletter. Let me know if you have any questions on products, or, you know, this is what I'm super passionate about. Let me know if you have any friends or family that need my assistance. Like they're like, just don't be afraid to like tell people what you do and how you do it.
Yeah,
Right?
years ago when I ran my hosting company, after somebody would sign up, I always made a phone call.
Yeah.
So I would make a phone call to them and say, hey, you know, thanks so much. It would kind of freak some people out that, you know,
I think
who's
I
this
would
guy?
be freaked out if my web hosting company called me.
Who's this guy calling? And
But
so
they
forth.
loved it about you. That's how they remember you.
Yeah, there were two things behind it. One, I was validating that it wasn't a spam or it wasn't a fake charge.
Yeah.
So I was alerting them that, hey, this information is out there. And number two, hey, how cool is it that the how cool was it that the owner of the company is calling to say, thank you for your business, even though it was only a $5 a month hosting package.
Right.
So
It was the
didn't-
white glove service.
Yeah,
That's what made your culture.
it didn't matter the price point.
Yeah.
But that alone, that
I'm
that
laughing.
allowed me to keep
The
a
reason
lot
why
of
I
business.
laughed it was, one, because I was laughing because if you were my web host and you called me, like that would freak me out. But
Yep.
then I also was laughing because we actually call people back in our industry, and like so many of our competitors do not like respond or call people back. And they're like, oh my gosh, I got a phone call from somebody, and I'm like, yes, this is the Tracy's.
I honestly think that the art of using a phone has died for anybody other than a telemarketer, and they are people you don't want to talk to anyway.
Right.
So,
yeah, but I think it can easily be brought back, right? Everybody has to customize. You have to customize your processes and your systems whatever way you can.
Yep.
But what I will say is the easiest way for you to step separate than anybody else, and I'm not getting into a comparison, I'm just saying like to be different than everybody else, is just kind of find a way to build your community, build your tribe, and just make connections with people that are doing business with you or that could do business with you.
Yep.
And it could be just as simple as writing a handwritten note and mailing it off to them, right? So
people can,
a couple different ideas.
From the automation end of things, it's good to automate things, but if it's too automated, people can see that it's been automated and there is no effort.
And I agree with that. So even our system, our business, we are automated, but I have this one person that's really good at what they do, and they've automated their process so much that it actually does damage to them and their business. So there's like no customer service, and there's no like feel, and the industry this person's in is all about feeling. So like you can actually hurt yourself if you automate too much, right?
Yep.
Also, if you pick up the phone, it's going to make you really fucking uncomfortable, which you need to be uncomfortable to thrive as a business, right? We constantly have to figure out how to get uncomfortable and step forward and just have the conversations and make connections.
Well, I must do really well because I'm uncomfortable
all the time.
I
Anytime
talk
he's
on the
around me, he's uncomfortable, but also comfortable, all right? Like I ground you, so it's good. Do you have anything else to share?
It's Friday.
I know.
It
We
is
still
raining.
have a shitload of work to do for
There's
the day, too.
so much stuff to do.
But it's so good. So good, guys.
Yeah, I don't have anything major going on other than the stuff there that I talked about from Google.
Yeah.
It is, like I said, the beginning of the month. A lot of things are updating. A lot of things are shifting around. So I know I've got more research to do.
Yeah. We're knee deep in it. It's the tradition. Back to school. People are into knowledge and data. That's super cool.
Yeah.
Super cool.
But
Yeah.
that's
cool.
it for the most part.
Rock on.
I don't know. Maybe I'll feel bored and I'll just format a computer for the heck of it.
Maybe.
And then drive myself crazy.
Yeah, probably. All right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. If this video has brought you any value, please go ahead and like, love, or share it to your tribe as well as your people. If you have any specific questions about any of the information that we provided, or if you have ideas of questions for future videos, feel free to put them in the comments below or send us an email. The last request is if we've offered any value to you at all with these weekly recaps, please go ahead and leave us a review on our actual Facebook business page. It would be awesome if you also left it on Google, but you know, Facebook is just as good, so like we could just help other people do our thing, right?
There you go.
Right?
Yep.
All right, awesome. Well, I hope this weekend gives you an ability to recharge or bust your business out of the glass ceiling that you might be in. Either way, hope you have a great one. We'll talk soon. Thanks. Bye.
All right, guys. See ya.